Hello and welcome to Ishi Speaks, your gateway to good health. I'm your host Ruchira Sharma, and as you know, on this engaging and informative podcast, we break through the jargon and decode myths related to health and nutrition. And we have with us our very special guest, well-known clinical nutritionist Ishi Khosla, who will help us understand what is an upcoming fad, and that is keto diet as well as plant-based diets. So let's dive into the world of these diets and understand whether they really promote sustainable eating or are they just what they seem to be, a fad. So welcome to the show, Ishi. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you, Ruchira. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So let me start by asking you that when we talk about plant-based diets, which is again becoming a big topic these days, what are the key benefits of adopting a plant-based diet?
The first thing is that when you say plant-based, you need to also define what is plant-based. Plant-based has variants, vegetarian, but they also are vegan, and so they have occasional animal food additions. So typically, when we look at a plant-based diet, we say elimination of meats and eggs and dairy also. So the good thing is that when you take plant-based foods, you're taking more vegetables, you're taking more fruits, you're taking more grains, and of course good fats, etc. Hopefully, and that is certainly a very high point in one of the goals that we want people to achieve, and up their quotient of vegetables and fruits and natural foods. So it also in a certain way should eliminate, when we say plant-based foods, the junk and the ultra processed food and the bad kind of fats and the other chemicals which are a part of the diet. So just having a plant-based diet will not
Is not enough.
A lot of people can eat junk. I mean, I can even have a aloo paratha twice a day, thrice a day, and have a plant. So these are little the labels, and they are little restrictive and what we call reductionist in their approach.
All right.
So simply being vegan, simply being vegetarian, or simply being gluten free is
not
not
enough.
going to make a difference. So when we say plant-based diets, we should really typically include lots of vegetables and fruits and whole grains and good fats, and minimize ultra processed foods. And so it's not only what you eat, but what also you don't eat, and what you add. So just elimination. I don't eat it. I don't eat this. A lot of people say this. I don't eat, but what do you actually eat is very
Is
important.
important. All right. So coming to the next question, if somebody wants to transition to a plant-based diet, what would be your 2 tips or 3 tips for them to start?
Simply ensure that you eat tons of vegetables and fruits in your diet. You ensure that at least one meal is dedicated to in this food group. That's what we call the protective foods. And make sure you have a rainbow. You have 7 different colors every day.
Yes.
And try and make your plate a rainbow plate and have all the 7 colors. And of course, what you don't eat is also important. And in addition, do you add special foods with special health benefits? These are what we call the phytonutrients and the antioxidant rich foods. So these also should be addressed, and make sure that you eat, you follow that principle of how much you're eating.
Exactly.
Too much of a
Even
good
if
thing,
you're going vegan, you can't just go
of
over the
course.
top.
So just that one thing must be kept in mind: what you eat, and how much you eat, and how you eat it, and when you eat it, and what you don't eat.
Sure.
And of course, very important point here: make sure it is customized for you. The personalized nature of the diet is very important.
All right. So moving on, what role does a plant-based diet play in sustainability and environmental health, overall?
So typically when you have animal food or you have dairy, it takes much more in terms of the resources and water, etc., to produce them compared to the plant world. So certainly you will lower your carbon print
Definitely.
significantly.
Definitely. But there's also a worldview that plant-based diet, while it may be great on many counts, it can lead to certain nutritional deficiencies. So what is your take on that?
Of course, that's why I always say that just making one label and following that is a reductionist approach. And you have to ensure that you get all the nutrients you need. So make your diet varied, and you also need to ensure that your vitamin B12 levels and vitamin D levels
Are
and
in
calcium
place.
levels are taken care of.
All right.
And the one tip here is that ensure that you digest your food well and you have a healthy gut. Whatever you are having, your gut should be happy.
It all comes down
Else,
to that.
else you are not going to make the most of all everything that you're doing, and we see that in clinical practice. And I will just give you this example here.
Sure.
There's somebody I know who's been following all kinds of dietary approaches, and the last time he said, "Now I'm going to," and which were working for him. He took out the wrong kind of trigger proteins from his diet, and his blood work was excellent.
Okay.
But then he began doing intermittent fasting, and then he sort of chose everything that he wanted to eat without being careful, of course,
Okay.
vegetarian, and eat in a window of 6 hours only. He
Wow.
was more than 16 hours, he was fasting for 20 hours. And to his horror, when he checked his body composition and his weight, he was 3 kgs higher.
Oh my God.
And he was 10 years older on his biological
Wow.
age, and
While one would
his
expect the
fat content went
exact
up
opposite.
4%, and he
Oh
was
God.
really,
Upset,
it
I'm
was like jaw
sure.
dropping for him.
Yes.
So it really boils down to not just one approach. Okay, intermittent fasting or this diet or that diet will not work if you don't have a context to it.
Sure.
Everything else is also important.
So while I totally understand what you're saying, Ishi, about diets need to be customized for each person's requirement, and you gave a great example. Another very popular diet is the keto diet. So, what are the benefits of a keto diet, and what does it really entail?
See, keto diet was developed by scientists for a specific neurological condition.
Okay.
And however, people began to use it for weight loss. And the issue is that most of us in India and the Asian community are insulin resistant, and which means we don't handle our carbohydrates very well.
And we dump them big time.
Yes,
We have a
so
lot
the
of them.
keto diet typically reduces these carbohydrates to almost 10% of the diet, and which is normally supposed to be 60%.
Okay.
So when you bring down the carbohydrates that severely, you are left with a high fat content, and that is a USP of the diet, and it allows your body to start using fat as fuel rather than the carbohydrates. So
Okay.
instead of using glucose, the body starts using fat stores. So that is the one documentation of the fact that yes, when you cut back carbs significantly, you will start using your fat stores. But is that the right way to eat on a long-term basis is
Not
questionable,
really.
and is really not, because
Okay.
we also have to see what kind of food we're supposed to eat on a gut friendly note, on a sustainable note, and
Sure.
there are many aspects. Food is not just about weight and nutrients, etc. Food has to do a lot to do with pleasure.
Yes.
And if you don't satisfy those pleasure centers, if you and these are very restrictive diets, we so I and I've seen those kind of disasters happening with patients who have left a conventionally healthy diet which they were on. Say they were my patients, and they go on to keto diets, and
Sure.
this particular patient came back after 4 months, and I said, "Where did you disappear?" He said, "No, I started a keto diet," and he was diabetic. So he said, "My sugars initially were very good, but I have just got my reports and my kidneys are messed up."
Oh God.
So, yes, so this is just one, but most of these can lead to severe health problems, damaging your liver, kidney, and increasing inflammation. So,
All
these are
right.
really not the best sustainable diets.
Okay. So you always talk about the gut. What is the impact that a keto diet has on the gut and cholesterol management or weight loss?
So typically, any major change in the diet can disturb the microbiome balance. And that's what we call a disturbed microbiome, which
Okay.
is dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is a gateway to diseases,
All right.
and it leads to inflammation. So whether it is heart disease or whether it is diabetes or whether it is anything will be triggered if your gut is unhappy.
So, you always talk about the gut issues. So, how does a keto diet really impact cholesterol, weight loss, and of course, gut health?
So typically, if you change the kind of food that you're eating so drastically, it will cause a shift in the microbiome, which is what we call dysbiosis.
All right.
Dysbiosis is really the gateway to diseases because it leads to inflammation and a leaky gut. And we do see those kind of problems in patients. The blood work tells us that their cholesterol has gone up. That means the inflammation has gone up,
All right.
and the inflammatory markers go up, and that can lead to any disease. Whether it
Okay.
is diabetes or whether it is joint pains or your neurological problems. To anything and everything will get impacted with a negative shift in your gut microbiome. So yes, and we do see these kind of effects of long-term use of um, these kind of
These
fad
diets.
diets. Yeah.
Okay. So, when people adopt such diets, what are the common pitfalls that they can avoid? Because, invariably they tend to take on to these diets because they're doing the rounds on social media, they're extremely popular. So, what is the pitfall that they can avoid?
There is no recommendation to start these diets. The advice is very clear that follow a diet which works for you, which is sustainable in the long run and is designed keeping you in mind and your requirements.
So,
So,
personalized
personalized
diets.
diets, none of these diets are going to be solutions neither for weight loss or for good health.
So, Ishi, while you made us understand that clearly one really shouldn't take, adopt such drastic steps or, really follow keto diets or plant based diets until and unless they have gone for a full customized checkup, as per reports, especially the younger generation is often opting for keto diets and fads like that. So, what are the potential pitfalls that one must watch out for?
So, the advice to anybody who's trying to lose weight as a long term option to maintain a weight loss, not for those who are doing, who are in the celebrity world, who have targets to meet and it's a short term thing, then it's all right. Whatever you do is just for a few weeks or a few months and it's not going to kill you. But yes, if you're making it as to become fitter and to become slimmer
Healthier.
and stronger, then please do not opt for such diets. And the idea is to really understand your body. It's not about just a goalpost that you're running and you touch that point and you come back and it's all over and then you can go back to eating normally. It doesn't work like that. It's going to give you benefits till you do it. So the minute you stop doing it, it is going to come back with a bang and a higher weight. That's the way the body works.
All right.
And we know this is called weight cycling. And each effort and each time you've lost weight, and we see this with chronic dieters, by the end of it, they are so malnourished
All
and
right.
they are bigger than before. If I rebound, if I started at 60, I will come back at a 62, and if I start at a 62, I'll come back at a 65, and the average weight keeps going up.
And that's the worst
And
thing.
you're dealing with malnutrition. So these are really harmful in the long run. So please seek professional advice if you can't do it on your own. Make sure that you eat the right kind of food. Don't just jump into a diet because your friend lost weight on something and you just decide to do it. So these are now areas which need to be understood far more carefully and far more seriously than ever before. And because the choices are available, and today supplements and medicines are being used. Now we've seen all kinds of Ozempics and variants of that coming up. So weight loss is really a concern for everybody, and it needs to be done very judiciously, with a lot of discretion in what you're doing. And under all circumstances, don't opt for very severe forms of dieting.
All right.
And make it a way of life, because that's the only way it will stick with you. It cannot be a diet as just something
fad.
which is a short-term thing. It's
All
pretty
right.
much like exercise, Ruchira, that if I'm exercising today, it's not going to give me benefits for the rest of my life.
You
Till
have to
I do
keep doing it.
exercise, it's going to work for me, and then I stop.
Yes.
Within a few weeks, it's
It
lost its
bounces
benefits.
back.
So it
Yes.
has to be done with that kind of an approach, not just I just have to do this now and I have to get into this. Just do it, but then don't do it as a long-term thing, and don't starve yourself. Yes,
Definitely.
but you can fast. You can use healthy practices, which help your body and your gut to support your gut function, and they help weight loss. So the key word here will be respect what you eat, whatever goes into your body, and make sure that you eat food which do not cause or trigger inflammation.
All right.
Today, inflammation is now being understood by everybody. So have the approach should be an anti-inflammatory approach. It should be a customized approach, and foods which are good for us should be there. And make sure that the nutrients that your body needs are there.
Are
And
there.
do your blood checks and do your levels, and how it makes you feel is also very important. There's no
Definitely.
point in being irritable and cranky and on a diet and being
Or yeah,
losing weight.
or
Yeah.
even lose weight like
Yeah.
that. All right, thank you so much, Ishi. So clearly the only way to go about it is being sustainable, being healthy, and following a personalized diet.
And there are no shortcuts,
All right.
unfortunately.
All right.
And it's not that difficult either.
Definitely. So thank you so much for joining us today, and that's it on Ishi Speaks. Stay tuned for more episodes. We'll be here to give you expert insights and practical tips for adopting a healthy lifestyle.